Hello, my name is Alicia, and welcome to my Unnoticed Evil channel, where I talk about the hidden evils in culture. And today I'm going to be talking about the heroes that we idolize. If you like this discussion, then subscribe to the channel for more discussions on various topics considering the hidden evils in culture. Now, the heroes that we idolize today are typically Hollywood actors, pop artists, sports athletes, and other celebrities. Maybe you have a pop artist or sports athlete that you have idolized. Their work uplifts you and inspires you. Maybe you live through them. But what if evidence surfaces that this person you idolize is actually not a good person? Maybe he or she has done some bad things that have caused people to suffer, caused people harm, and this person is not showing any penitence. Would you still idolize this person? Unfortunately, a lot of celebrities have been guilty of causing suffering to others, particularly women. For example, many male celebrities have sexually harassed and sexually abused women. Some of these celebrities have been accused of sexual abuse by as much as 60 women. Now, you may have heard the expression, "don't meet your heroes." One reason people say this is that, well, people have an overly idealized view of their heroes. And then when they meet their heroes in person, they may find that their heroes have their own flaws, and they may get disappointed. But I think there's another reason that people get so disappointed when they meet their heroes. And the other reason is people just suck at choosing their heroes. When you choose a hero based on vain qualities, like good looks, talent, and success, you can be drawn to some bad people, because good looks, talent, success, and other vain qualities have nothing to do with whether someone's a good person or a bad person. Recall the rich and handsome man, or rich and handsome hero from fairy tales. He was brave, he was virtuous, he would rescue the princess from the villain, and they would live happily ever after. In many of these stories, the villain would be ugly in appearance. Recall The Wizard of Oz, where Glinda, the good witch of the north, was beautiful, while the wicked witch of the west was ugly. Glinda, the witch of the north, would assure Dorothy that only bad witches are ugly. In more recent stories, though, like Shrek, there was another trend where the hero could be ugly. Still, our culture today tends to have an infatuation for the rich and handsome man. Now, most of you are probably aware that when a man is rich and handsome, he is not necessarily a good person. Conversely, an ugly person is not necessarily a bad person. Nonetheless, most people have some famous person they idolize, whether it be a celebrity, artist, or sports athlete. And some of these people we idolize are the rich and handsome man. The world has a great fetish for rich and handsome men because they have wealth and good looks. Now, there was a story I have to tell where I was at a car wash for my high school, and one of the guys happened to be, I guess, physically attractive in appearance. And I overheard one of the girls say, "Hey guys, he's really cute. We better do a good job washing his car." And I thought this does not really seem fair, because we should not be doing a good job just because he's better looking. Everybody deserves an equally good job. But it is true that good-looking people get treated better in the real world. And rich people also have a higher status than middle-class and poor people. Now, while some people have worked for their wealth, other people may have not. And so while the average person usually has to put effort into earning the favor of others, the rich and handsome man does not have to do very much. The rich and handsome man may receive messages from the world around him telling him that he can be a crappy, mediocre person and the world would still love him. And he may be receiving these messages from a young age. These messages indicate to the rich and handsome man very little to no behavioral standards and no boundaries. They tell him, well, he can do whatever he wants and there will be little consequences. You may recall the character Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, an example of a rich and handsome alpha male that believes that he is every woman's fondest dream. In reality, he is conceited, self-centered, and outright evil. Despite being far removed from being a decent human being, Gaston has a posse of admirers, both male and female, drawn to his good looks and talents. Take a look here.
Every guy here'd love to be you, Gaston, even when taking your lumps. There's no man in town as admired as you. You're everyone's favorite guy. Everyone's awed and inspired by you, and it's not very hard to see why. No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston, no one's next as incredibly thick as Gaston, for there's no man in town half as manly. Perfect perfect, the pure paragon. You can ask any Tom, Dick, or Stanley, and they'll tell you whose team they prefer to be on. No one's big like Gaston, a kick big like Gaston. No one's got a swell cleft in his jib like Gaston.
As a specimen, yes, I'm intimidating.
I wanna go get Gaston.
You see here in this video that as long as people shower Gaston with adoration, he will presumably continue to believe that he is a virtuous hero and he is entitled to get whatever he wants. Now, when rich and handsome men receive this unwarranted adoration by culture, they can be predisposed or have a higher risk of falling into narcissism, where they believe that they're entitled to special treatment and are entitled to get whatever they want regardless of how it affects others. Now, certainly not all rich and handsome men are bad. For example, if their parents raised them carefully, they can grow up to be good, decent human beings. However, the rich and handsome man is in circumstances where there is an increased temptation to do evil, because his actions are less likely to backfire when he is in this position of high power. Now, women are often drawn to the rich and handsome man. But ironically, the rich and handsome man can be dangerous for women and girls to be around. One of the reasons is that culture expects women to be just throwing themselves at him. And some women do, but some women don't. And so, while the rich and handsome man is receiving messages from the world around him that all the women are going to love him, if the rich and handsome man internalizes these messages enough, then it will make it difficult for him to understand the word no as an answer from a woman, because according to culture, no woman would ever say no. And in addition, if the rich and handsome man were to sexually molest a woman, the woman would have little recourse, because not only does culture expect women to be throwing themselves at him and would therefore find it hard to believe that he would rape any woman, in addition, the rich and handsome man is rich, so he can afford a nice big team of lawyers to basically get him off the hook when it comes to rape charges. Now, when women swoon over the rich and handsome man, it may fuel an already existing superiority complex. The rich and handsome man may start to believe that all women love him and that all his sexual advances are welcome. Maybe the rich and handsome man sees himself as being like the hero in the fairy tale. In reality, he may actually be a villain. Now take the Bryce Walker character from the series 13 Reasons Why. He is rich and by cultural standards, handsome. He is also a popular sports athlete at his high school, and he believes all the girls want him and he does not respect boundaries. And so he becomes a serial rapist. Check out this scene here.
You and Hannah, you had sex with her that night.
Did I? Yeah, I might have.
I mean, did she want you to?
I assume so. Hannah and I, well, she was a very special girl. We had a thing, off and on.
You raped her.
What?
You fucking raped her.
Dude. Clay, don't talk about what you don't know about.
Why did you do it?
She wanted me. Me. She was practically begging me to fuck her. If that's rape, then every girl at this school wants to be raped.
So you see in this scene that he just cannot understand no as an answer from the girls. He thinks all the girls want him, or at least he tells himself that. And effectively, he becomes dangerous for girls to be around. Now, later in the series, there are some lawsuits filed, but because his wealthy family can hire a nice big team of lawyers, he ends up escaping conviction. Some viewers had complained about this outcome, but this is in a way representative of what happens in reality. In reality, when a man is rich, it could be hard to convict him of certain crimes, like sexual misconduct, because of how much power and wealth he has. Now, after word got out that Bryce Walker was a rapist, he'd become known as a town monster. This also may not happen in real life. Sometimes culture has a hard time accepting what a person's true colors are, especially when culture had previously idolized this person. Now, Bill Cosby is another example, not necessarily the most handsome, but rich and very influential, and he had been found to have raped a large number of women. When the victims were brave and came up and tried to call out Bill Cosby on what he had done, they were accused of making false rape allegations just to get attention and money. They got negative publicity, mockery, disrespect. Now, the rape allegations did turn out to be true later, but it was very difficult to convict someone as powerful as Bill Cosby. He probably only got convicted because so many women testified, and because some of his victims themselves had a lot of power and influence. Now, this article here discusses how people in positions of power can easily get away with abuse. Victims and others who know about the abuse are intimidated and keep quiet. The article mentions many people. In addition to Harvey Weinstein, the TV producer, the article also mentions director James Toback, actor Dustin Hoffman, Brett Ratner, and the latest to enter the fray, Kevin Spacey. A quote from the article says, as Andres Quinteros, a psychologist at Sepsim specializing in sexual abuse, explains, although there is no specific profile of an abuser, it is always their power that leads them to these situations. They are men or women with a lot of power, and they use it against vulnerable people to get what they want. They usually lack empathy, which is what allows us to understand the pain of others and prevents us from causing harm or being selfish, he says. So the moral of the story is that be wary of who you choose as your hero. A person's work may uplift you and inspire you, but you may not know the person's true character. And it's better to choose heroes based on their character, their good deeds, and what they stand for, rather than based on more vain qualities like good looks, charm, charisma, or talent.